Arrivati in Food Bosch.
From my opinion or experience, I can also say that, of course, Ernst's work is great and it's a big source of inspiration for us. Also, for example, that we have all these biomass trees and all that stuff, and the heavy pruning that really comes from him.
Can I record?
Yeah. Yeah, if you like. Yeah, so his work and the syntropic farming approach is really inspiring, and it's great, and we can learn a lot from it and take a lot of the principles. But also for every situation, and Ernst is not always there, unfortunately. So then you need to make your own decisions and to find your own ways of working and what suits you and your location. And this is probably not a syntropic farm, but it's inspired a lot by it, and we made our own mix of it, and it's inspired by regenerative agriculture, by Max Shepard. It's inspired by many other people. Also Wouter here in Holland, he has a 8-year-old food forest, maybe you've heard about it. And so when all these approaches come together and you blend it and you make your own, I think then you get the most resilient and the most fitting approach for your field. That's a bit my opinion, because yeah, there are many approaches, and I believe that syntropic farming is one of the most really in-depth and really it's the most comprehensive way to work with nature. But it's also challenging, you know, and as you said, you need to find out whether you're capable of that. But then maybe...
Kind of ripe.
Oh, nice.
Wow, thank you.
Wow, where did you find that one?
I mean, some of them already drop off because it was already cold in between.
Oh, that's the medlar taste.
But I find it's not too strong. Like the ones last year, they were sweeter. It's always great. Always when we make tours, we find something new. Like, oh, that's
something to eat.
Something to eat is always there. It should be like that in a food forest.
Yeah, that's the intention.
I feel very. It's something that I thought also in Milano. The difference with the garden and food forest, for example. You feel it's inside your body. The difference. You feel way better in a system like this.
Yeah, of course.
No?
Where you know how everything changes.
Yes.
And when the ecology is really working, because in any garden, in any nice vegetable garden, you're fighting nature constantly, you know. It's not an ecological place.
Yes.
It can have flowers, but it's not a functioning ecosystem at all, and this really works with the ecosystem dynamics.
Yeah, yes.
So nature's at work
if
here.
there is an element that is useful, it expire, no?
Yeah. You take it out or it won't grow.
And so every element here is
Okay. We will go somewhere, or we stay here.
We can stand here.
Yeah, we can have more look into the details.
Yeah,
Okay.
or we have a table
And
there.
discuss
and
more
a
about how
bench.
they start and what effort it takes and where the most costs are. The interesting subjects.
Yeah, I
to-
think we should do that.
and how he
Yeah.
made the design. Because it's really good to see how they they thought about everything on forehand.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of things you need to think about in the first stage. And that's the underestimated part. People start small, and Ingrid just told me about Africa. We need to do also immediately the right things, and that's really a challenge because it's the costs so yeah, you can adapt here to see what's important for you and where you definitely need to start with, like a fence. A lot of people don't think about a fence in the first place. And I remember that they drove all to Germany to get only the wire from her dad, and
we were there.
that was amazing. And I thought, wow, what are they all doing in this state? And then now finally I understand.
Otherwise we would have paid, I don't know, 1,000 euros or something on the metal wire fence, because that's really important, a really expensive part. If you buy 400 meter, that costs. And her father, he has forests, so there was old German fence, already 40 years old, but still fine. So we took that out and put it in here. I drove with a big trailer all the way, like 800 kilometers up to northern Germany and back, but it's worth it, you know. If you go there anyway for Christmas and you pick up a fence for free.
Small, like it will become bigger the next year, because it's the first year's
Ah, questo è
quello siberiano.
gumi.
autumn olive.
Olive, oh yeah. There was
Like them. I mean, I always repeat it because they are so great for the pollination. They have nitrogen. They are nitrogen fixers. They can have up to like what did they say, 5 to 10 kilo, I think, of
One grown-up
fruits
shrub.
when they are grown up, and they can grow 80 centimeters a year, so you can cut them back really well. And they can grow on any side. They can really grow even on the most unfertile, like very dry sides. They really just, they
And
just do
maybe
it.
with the humidity, I don't know, because ours, they still remain like
Autumnal,
this,
is it?
I think
year
it might be
after year.
also plant material, because you really get different plants. And
Yes.
And some are bred for ornamental purposes, and that's very hot. For example,
Ah, yes, maybe.
Ma infatti
for example, the
Eleagnus
umbellata is
umbellata.
used quite a lot in ornamentals. Also, Eleagnus ibengii,
Noi ne
which is
abbiamo
the
due.
evergreen
Yes.
equivalent.
One.
But you have the rarity compacta, for example. So already in the name it says, well, it stays small, so it doesn't grow, because people many times don't want trees in their
No,
garden
yes.
that grow big. Same with walnuts. You have some rarities that just never get big. Or Marron du Lion. It can be nice if you put it in the right place where you don't have much space. Put a lot of Marron du Lion.
we have nowadays, let it be animals or let it be plants. They are
Apple
all on kind of
trees.
dead ends, and when we get a climate change, because they are so bred to only one genetic and then planted a lot of them, and they're not so adaptable to changes.
No,
But
they're
if
dead. They're not really alive.
Yeah, they're not alive as in nature, always constantly evolving,
Yes.
but they're always staying for centuries the same. And so if you now like get back the genetic diversity, and even though some of them might not be good and some of them might be really good, you need to cut and
Yes,
you need
it's
to
like
select. But
with the bees.
Yeah.
With the bees, it's the same.
it's the same.
Every queen that
Yeah.
we clone the queen, no?
Yeah.
So
It's not
they
evolving.
don't evolve anymore.
No.
They don't sting
Yes.
anymore. Because we want.
They're making little drone-like bees now.
Yes, I
They
see.
think we'll go in and.
I mean,
then
I
you don't
think
have
it's
to
fine
worry
to
about the bees.
select for
No,
not
yes.
stinging,
Yeah.
but I think it's stupid to clone for not
Yes.
stinging.
Yeah, that's
Because when you
stupid.
select for not stinging, then you might get some really nice ones, and maybe some of them will again start stinging, but then you say, okay, I won't work with them, but I won't work with them. That's fine. But if you, as soon as you really start cloning on such a big scale,
Yeah.
you become really vulnerable.
Becomes super
Yes.
dangerous.
Yeah.
They they block the evolution of surviving.
Yeah. Of the fittest.
And the adapting, they take out the adapting bag.
No, because I was explaining a little bit also the motivation, except of course to understand the beautiful work. It's here. How you if you have to find a definition of this kind of system, what you will say, and if you have a personal definition of syntropic agriculture.
Oh.
There's only
You're not
one.
allowed to have stays here.
There's only one definition, the Ernst definition.
Yeah.
And it's confidential when you
And
tell
if
each
you have
other.
a
It's
personal one,
good.
it has nothing to do with syntropic farming.
That's
No.
a bit what I said 5 minutes ago, that we are very much inspired by syntropic farming, but this is not a certified syntropic farm. It's our own blend of,
Yeah,
of different
yes.
And
approaches.
to me, every farm is going to be that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's again not, otherwise it would be a clone.
Yeah,
If we clone
yes.
Ernst's system,
Yeah.
then it's a clone, and then he has to be there. But,
But
everybody needs
he
to make his
says-
own.
He says on one side, he says, this is not a recipe. But if you don't do a recipe, he says it's not syntropic farming. So
Yeah.
I'm a bit confused.
No, but yeah, I guess that we were really reading a lot of different things, and we've been, like some of us have been at Ernst's place, and so there are definitely inspirations out there, and I'm so thankful for everybody who is such an idol, or such a, like, who really put so much energy and so much time, like Mark Shepard, like Ernst Götz, like Joel Salatin, like
Jeff Lawton.
Alan Savory, or there's
Jeff
so many out there, Jeff
Gary
Lawton,
Hansen.
Yeah.
and these people are really so helpful for us, because we can learn so much, but then what comes out of it is our own
Yes.
blend, and
Mhm.
that's wonderful. And I guess working just with the different layers and really trying to fill as many niches as possible, and really observe your system and work with it and create a harmony between the plants, and really see, okay, how can they all grow best, and also have the ability to just cut back what is not growing good, and really always strive for the healthiest system, and to see, okay, which one is producing well, then I will help this plant to even get more nutrients and to have its room to really express itself, and yeah, to really don't be afraid to plant dense. You can always light up again, because it's so, like in nature, every niche is filled. You don't normally have it like that. You only have 2 layers or something. But if you just have a barren place, then everything will start coming. And yeah, just work with this potential of always striving for the best and always striving for the highest potential and getting as much photosynthesis done as possible. Always cover the ground, and yeah, I guess.
And
Yeah.
And each one will be different, because you like pears, and the next person likes peaches, and the next one likes nectarines. So you will choose different plants to give space to and give priority to. So everybody's farm is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, and basically it's good to really look, on the one hand, look at your site and see, okay, what are the main characteristics? Do I have different places? Do I have wet places? Do I have dry places? Will I create shade at some places? Is there already shade? Or where's the light going to be? Where is it going to be warm? All these kind of things which you can read everywhere. I mean, if you have one barren field like this, then of course the circumstances are quite even. So you don't have this very extreme like microclimates, but you can create them over time. And definitely you will have warmer places in the south, and it's all in half circles, and then you will really have like a sun patch, and that will be really warm. And also this place here will be even more sheltered, because there's the west winds, and then yeah, the south is really coming in here, and it's nicely sheltered. And in here there are many like peaches and almonds and every kind of plant which kind of likes a bit more like figs, and which are not so typical for this place. Because I think it's also nice to really go in both directions. So on the one hand, plant things which come from here and which do well, but then also try and go in both directions in colder and warmer climates, and get some plants from there, or in the same climates all over the planet. Because I really feel like all this debate of not bringing native in it's stupid, because that's our biggest chance, that we can make new breedings and that we can really see which plants will work. Because as long as every niche is filled and as long as the ecosystem is thriving, that's the function of the ecosystem, to really build up the soil, to build up life, to always get on its highest potential. And if you work with that principle, then it doesn't really matter if it's an apple or a fig which is standing there. It's just important that it's growing. And yeah, then we will be probably, if the system is diverse, be much more resilient towards either it's going to be hotter here or colder. We don't even know yet, because it could happen both.
Hot and cold and wet and dry. We don't know.
Yeah.
So you need and it'll probably be hot or cold or wet and dry all in 1 year.
Yeah.
So you need very resilient plants at the moment. You can't have wishy-washy, highly hybridized.
No.
They need to go into a greenhouse.
Yeah.
Where you can control the climate.
Yeah.
But the ones outside need to become very resilient.
Yeah, I mean, you can really try a lot, and then really make your own line with it. And yeah, really don't stop yourself from making new plants, because I find it so amazing. Now we read just a book from Philip Rutter, and he has got the neo-hybrids, the swarm hybridization, and that's basically putting different species together of, for example, hazelnuts or sweet chestnuts.
For example, you take the American hazelnut, you take the European hazelnut, you take an Asian hazelnut. So common hybridization goes with 2 species, and then you have grandparent, parent, and the outcome is always the same. You repeat it.
Growing hybrid hazelnuts.
But neo-hybrids is a whole different story, because you put in 3 species and you let them hybridize again and again and again. So you get millions of possible traits.
No, trillions.
Trillions.
It's amazing, because it's really like, it's such a, you can't even imagine those numbers, because normally you always have like 2 parents of hybrids or 3, and then you make 1 new line. But you really restrict the numbers. Then you don't make intercrossings again. You don't cross back this and this, and you don't let them all, like in the nature this really happens. He's describing that when you have climate changes, for example, then the species